Okay, today students, we're doing 2.7 solving proportions. So when you look at this first problem, we're going to solve this proportion by cross multiplying. So we're going to multiply 8 times n and then 7 times 12. So 8 times n is just 8m. 7 times 12 is 84. And then our last step here is to divide both sides by 8. When we do that, we get m equals 10.5. Okay, so there's the first problem. Second problem here, again, same concept. We're just cross multiplying. Again, remember, as always, we start out easy and then it gets a little more challenging. So we're going to multiply 5 times x first and then 7 times 4 next. 5 times x is 5x. 7 times 4 is 28. Then we will finish by dividing both sides by 5, and we get x equals 5 divides into 28 5 times with 3 left over. 3 left over is 0.6 as a decimal. You can always just use your calculator to divide that out. Let me just pull up the calculator here. There we go. So I can have that access when I need it. All right, moving on. So solving a proportion using the cross product property. All it means, cross multiply, so more of the same. 4 times x is 4x. 3 times 8 is 24. We will then divide both sides by 4. And this one divides equally, so 24 divided by 4 is 6. Over here, again, multiplying 5 times y, 5y. 3 times 3 is 9. How do we get rid of this? Remember, always we have multiplication in between here. So what do we do to get the y by itself? We divide both sides by 5. Okay, we'll do that now. And then when we divide that by 5, we get y equals 5 divides into 9 one time with 4 left over. 4 over 5 is 8, or 0.8, so 1.8 is your answer. Okay, now we step it up in difficulty a little bit. Nothing earth-shattering here. Again, we still cross multiply. So when we cross multiply, we'll do 4 times b minus 8 first. Then we'll do 5 times b plus 3. Okay, the mistake students make is they forget when they distribute to both parts of the parenthesis. We've been saying that all year long, our 31st week of the school year, so please don't forget that. Okay, so we are going to distribute into both parentheses. When we do that, we get 4b minus 32 equals 5b plus 15. Remember, we always talk about getting rid of the smallest variable first, right? So 4b is smaller than 5b, so the first step I'm going to do is to subtract 4b from both sides, right? And that'll put my b's over here on the right side of this equation, so I'm going to want to also subtract this 15 from both sides. Okay, so we'll do that now. So subtract 4b. I recommend doing 2 steps at once because it just saves you a step, saves you a little paper, saves you a little time. So the 4b's cancel. 32 minus 15. Remember, when we're subtracting 2 negatives, we add the numbers, keep the sign. So 32 plus 15 is 47. So we added the numbers, negative 47, we keep the sign. So this one simplified nicely because 5b minus 4b right here is just 1b, so we're done with the problem then. So b equals negative 47. So that's where we have variables on both sides of the equation. So remember, when we have variables on both sides of the equation like we did here, we're subtracting that smallest variable first from both sides. Okay. This one, again, we will cross multiply. So we get 5 times 2n plus 4 equals 6 times n, or just 6n. Again, don't forget to distribute to both parts of the parenthesis. So we'll do that, and we say 5 times 2n is 10n. 5 times 4 is 20. Then that's going to equal 6n. So we again have variables on both sides. So it's a little funky here because when we subtract 6n from that right side, we end up with 0 on that side. That's okay. I'm going to rewrite this problem up here just so I have a little more space. So we have 10n plus 20 equals 6n. I'm still going to subtract that smallest variable to stay consistent with our method. So we have 4n plus 20 equals 0. All I have to do is subtract that 20 over, and we get 4n equals negative 20. So we look right here, this implied operation is multiplication. We'll get rid of that by dividing both sides by 4. And we get n equals negative 5. Okay. So now we're solving multi-step proportions, right? It says right up here. Try to get in the habit of reading what these problems say. Solving multi-step proportions, so you know you're going to have multiple steps in one problem here and here. Okay, now we got your friend of mine story problems. So let's read through this thing and think about what we're reading. Portable media player has 2 gigabytes of storage and can hold about 500 songs. A similar but larger media player has 60 gigabytes of storage. But how many songs can the larger media player hold? So 2 gigabytes of storage. So 2 gigs. We'll say G is for gigabyte. And then we're going to say 2 gigs equals 500.